Hi, and welcome to our gathering place. My name's Garrett, and on this channel I'm going to be doing a lot of grilling.
And I'm Bethany, and I'll be doing a lot of cooking and baking.
Please follow along if you are interested in recipes that combine the outdoors with each season. Thanks for tuning in.
For our first recipe, we're going to be making pumpkin scones.
This recipe calls for most things that you'll probably find in your kitchen or pantry already. Follow along and enjoy.
Our pumpkin scone recipe requires the following ingredients. We have all-purpose flour, brown sugar, baking powder, salt, ground cinnamon, ground ginger, heavy whipping cream, pumpkin puree, and sugar. Okay, so we're going to be making pumpkin scones. And we're going to start with the dry ingredients. And I'm going to put 2 cups of flour into our mixing bowl. There's 1 cup.
I usually just eyeball it.
Can't do that when you're baking.
Apparently you can't do that when you're baking.
You're not supposed to. Doesn't come out as well. Okay, there's our 2 cups of flour. We're going to use, it calls for light brown sugar. I've got our golden brown. I tend to use whatever we have in our pantry. And it's supposed to be packed. And it's 1/4 of a cup. Baking powder.
Next up is our baking powder. We're going to use 1 tablespoon.
That's not a tablespoon. That's a teaspoon. The bigger one.
This is why I do the grilling.
1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and another teaspoon of ground ginger. Okay, so combine those dry ingredients, mix them all up, and then we're going to mix our wet ingredients in another bowl. So I'm adding 1/4 of a cup of pumpkin puree into a bowl. And then Garrett is going to add a cup of the heavy whipping cream. You can also use just heavy cream in this recipe. I'm just going to mix that together until it's combined, and then we'll add it to our dry ingredients. So we're just going to mix this until it just starts to come together. Okay, so our mixture isn't quite combined yet, so I put some flour on my hands, and I'm going to not knead the dough, but kind of fold it together to get it to kind of come together as a ball. So on your clean cooking surface, you're going to lightly flour the countertop before you put your dough on the counter, or else it will stick. Okay. Now we want our dough to be in like 1 inch thick or so, and we're going to use a biscuit cutter, but you could form these any way you want. If you want them to be the triangle shaped scones, that works as well. All right, so I'm using a 3-inch biscuit cutter, and I'm dipping it into flour before I put it into our scone dough. That way it doesn't stick. So I twist it as well to make sure that I get it all the way out of there. So, and then I'm putting it onto a covered baking dish. And they should be about 1 inch apart on the baking dish. So with this 3-inch biscuit cutter, you should be able to get about 5 scones. I'm preheating my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and the scones will bake for 15 minutes or until lightly golden brown. Before you put your scones in the oven, you're going to brush some heavy whipping cream over the top of your scones and then sprinkle them with granulated sugar. All right, our oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to put these in for about 15 minutes. All right, we just pulled out the scones and they smell fantastic. We're gonna let them cool for a few minutes and then we'll give them a taste test.
All right, they've cooled and now it's time to taste our treat. I'm just gonna grab a big one. Ready?
The mini one.
Cheers.
Cheers. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. They're really fluffy, the texture is perfect, and they held a lot of the moisture in there. They didn't get really dried out. All right?
These would be really good with chocolate chips in there, and I think it would also be really good with like a vanilla glaze
That
on
would
the
be
top.
really good. All right, well thank you for tuning in on our first video. Like I said, we're gonna be doing a lot more grilling, and Bethany's doing a lot more
Cooking and baking.
And if you like recipes from wild game, fish, and lots of everything baking, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends.